In this video we are going to learn a new data type, unions. Unions are like structs but useless. Usually you don't come across unions so much in your code. You will see why soon. But I still want to mention unions because maybe you will see them, and I want, when you see them, you know what's special about unions and what's the use for unions, so you kind of know when you see a union what's this for. So this is all about this video. We are most certainly not going to use a union by ourselves in this tutorial, so I'm just mentioning it here. Okay, first of all, a union is basically like a struct. I mean, you can see the structure is the same. We have two data types. We have our variable name and we start with the keyword union in this case. The first special thing about unions is we only have the union is only reserving the memory for one of these data types. So it only needs the memory of the active data type. That means every time we are accessing a union or writing new data into a union, we activate one of these data types, and this will become the active data type. To clarify what I mean, let's just write a random number into the float of the union. As you can see, it's basically the usage is like we already know from structs, and what I'm going to do now is I will access the integer value of my union. And yeah, we didn't use this format string until now. That's just hexadecimal representation of this integer value. And before I go on talking, I will just show you the output of this program. That is my hexadecimal representation of this floating point number. This is actually a standard to convert floating point numbers to integer numbers. Well, this actually is not really integer. It's the hexadecimal representation of the integer value here. Because you can in IEEE 754, that is the standard for converting floating point numbers to integer numbers, because this is a pretty important thing for computer science. Yeah, you can read all about that conversion in this standard and why the floating point number becomes this value. Usually you are just going to work binary here, but yeah, well, this is now the hexadecimal representation. Okay, this is just a little plaything, a little important for computer scientists, like I already mentioned, and I just wanted to mention it in this video as well. Okay, so to show all of your non-computer scientists or also those people who are not very interested in this conversion here, what's a union about, I will give you another example for type conversion with unions. And that is, I take an integer value like 65. I know the character representation of 65 actually is the capital A, so I keep it simple now because you already know where this is going. Oh, yeah, that's not what I wanted. Okay, as you can see, I didn't write anything inside the character variable, I just wrote something to the integer of the union, but they share the same memory, because the union is just making a reservation for one, for just reservating one memory space, and that is why I can just initialize this one here with a value, and then accessing the second or whatever the next data type of this union, and this actually has the same value than the first one. So of course this conversion is quite useless, because we know that C-level language is already saves the character as integers. So yeah, we could just go here and write the integer actually. So this is quite useless. But like I said when I opened the video, we are not really going to use the union. But if you use the union, or if you see some people using unions, most likely they're using it for data type conversion. But be careful. First of all, it's not always working. So this is also compiler dependent, but you can also find some values that you can't convert to each other. I mean, like when you set the floating point value and you try to access the integer, you might get just a 0, even you have a floating point value, and you would at least expect it would just cut this part and will return 3. It will just return 0 maybe, also depending on your compiler. So you should be careful using unions for data type conversions, and if you are not using it for this matter, I don't know what you would use it for. If you know any other use cases for unions, of course, feel free to use the comment section, so we can also broaden our knowledge. But for this video, that's all. In the next video, we are going to take some exercises about structs. They are very important, not only for C-level language, but also for every other C family language that will come after C, because we will learn some structures that are already implemented in descendants of C-level language. So now we are heading to the interesting part. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.